What does one of the best zombie movies ever made and Left 4 Dead 2 have in common? Well, they both have zombies to begin with, but there is more than just that.
Report unusual behavior. Barricade your homes. Avoid all contact with infected individuals. Wait for official instruction. Wait my ass.
Kill all sons of bitches. That's my official instructions.
In Left 4 Dead 2, there are 6 campaigns, and each campaign is treated as its own zombie film starring the 4 survivors: Coach, Nick, Ellis, and Rochelle. We start with Dead Center, at the point where the helicopter has left without the 4 survivors.
May have escaped y'all's notice, but this building's on fire.
As noted by Ellis, the building is on fire, so I grab a fire axe, which is something that's always confused me, because it's not like you can chop the flames away. Ellis, who is controlled by me, falls out of a window, mainly because I didn't realize that you could do that, and almost instantly after that, we get a jockey riding our head, and I wish I was joking, but I am being 100% serious. Heading into a room from the outside, and on the table is a bottle of bile, probably from a boomer. For anyone that doesn't know Left 4 Dead 2, there are specialized zombies. Boomers vomit bile onto you and explode when they are shot. The good old days before the cringy okay boomer bullshit. We fight through the horde of zombies, and I find a Desert Eagle, or a Magnum pistol as it's called in this game for some reason. And while I'm weapon shopping, the others defeat a Charger, a zombie with one arm bigger than the other. I wonder why. We get to the elevator and we start making our way down. Now I would say that you shouldn't use an elevator in a fire, but at this point it's the end of the world, so I'm pretty sure no one cares. And sure enough, there is a horde coming at us as soon as we step out, as well as a smoker. Smokers are pretty self-explanatory. They release smoke when they are killed. They also have a long tongue. And then we get hit by a Charger again. Getting through most of the fire on the bottom floor of the hotel, we are met with a Spitter and a Hunter. Spitters are self-explanatory. Hunters pounce on you and just pin you to the ground. Not fun. None of these are fun. We make it to the end of the level and the first safe room. Each safe room has supplies in for you to prepare for the next fight. As we move away from the hotel, our aim is to make it to the mall. The reason being, there is an evac point in there that is being controlled by CEDA. It's kind of like a government authority in the Left 4 Dead universe. This part of the story takes place in Georgia. As a matter of fact, most of this story takes place in Georgia. After fighting through a lot of zombies, we start to hear the noise of a female crying. It is something that I am familiar with. I've disappointed a lot of women in my time.
Dude, she don't sound happy.
However, this crying is not to be mistaken as someone that is crying because they are in need of rescue or because they are being attacked by zombies. This is one of the specialized infected called a witch. She is easily startled, even a flashlight can set her off. She has a lot of health and you can get past her quite easily, but I shoot her on purpose just to show you why you don't want to shoot her and why you don't want to startle her, because once she is startled, she runs at you and just one-hits you. Rochelle then helps us up and heals us, and I noticed that she has a Depeche Mode shirt on. Never noticed that before, but she's clearly a fan of 80s music, so. We move through an underpass and an exploding boomer, get instantly pounced on by a hunter, and the infected start moving on us. One of the things to note on this, you can shoot petrol cans to start fires. As I say, it's the end of the world, no one will care. I pick up some fire bullets. I mean, this game seems obsessed with fire, but I guess that's one way to kill a zombie.
Fire bullets here.
And the fire bullets turn out to be a little bit too effective as we start getting burnt by the flames. You know, zombies running at you on fire, kind of makes sense that you'd get caught on fire as well. I come up with this smart idea. There's a hole in the door and I thought I could throw the pipe bomb through the door. They'd be attracted to the beeping, it would draw them away from the door and we would be able to get through. It didn't work, it bounced off the door. Big surprise, that stuff never works for me. We then meet a tank for the first time and I axe it to death. I then see some painkillers on the floor and decide to use the adrenaline shot first that I already have. The adrenaline shot allows you to move faster and heal faster. It also boosts your health for a bit, and it also makes Ellis make an interesting noise. Now it isn't long before we meet the owner, Mr. Whitaker, tells us that we can take anything we need, and we do just that and then go up and talk to him. He tells us that the road is blocked and he barricaded himself on the roof but forgot to grab some cola. He also tells us that it was CEDA that blocked the road. He makes a deal with us. If we go and grab him some cola from the store, he will clear the roadblock for us. So we do just that. But as soon as we open the door to the store, the alarm sounds alerting every zombie in the area to what is happening. As you can guess, they all come rushing to us. We manage to make it out with the cola and back to Mr. Whitaker, who fires an RPG at the tanker, clearing the way for us. We make it to the next safe room and to the shopping centre in hopes that Cedar will help us if we can get to the evacuation centre. A big surprise for everyone here, Cedar is no longer here. So we accidentally trip an alarm that we have to go and deactivate. Obviously on the way there we have a horde of zombies chasing us because sound attracts them in this game. But we do make it there, we deactivate the alarm and we make it to the safe room again.
That is Jimmy Gibbs Jr., the greatest driver ever to climb into a stock car.
Ellis is a big fan of this guy, apparently. New plan, seeing as the evacuation centre is gone, fill up Jimmy Gibbs Jr.'s car and use it to leave the mall and the area. See how far we can get away from this place. So I go around, I grab and throw a bunch of cans down to the car. I can't lie, this just saves a lot of time so that you're not going backwards and forwards to different places to try and get them. You kind of just get them all, throw them all down, and you can just go one after the other, putting them into the car. So with the last one in the car, we are out of there. And that is the end of the first campaign. Another thing that I really like about this game is how the stats show as credits at the end and the name of the actor is replaced with a gamer tag if someone is playing as that character. For example, for that one, it says that RThree as Ellis. We move on to the next campaign, which is called The Passing.
Hello down there! Sorry, but we can't lower the bridge.
Well, hello! Hello. Howdy, beautiful weather, huh?
For this, we start by meeting and speaking with Zoe, which gets Ellis tongue-tied and Nick staring at us. Also, for anyone that isn't familiar, that is Zoe from the first Left 4 Dead. We start making our way through some of the buildings, and the aim is to use a water tour to get to the other side of the bridge to help Zoe. We start walking through buildings and along catwalks to get through a lot of the buildings, and we end up getting to this park where there was apparently a wedding happening. We hear another witch, and Rochelle teases Ellis with his lack of female experience, describing the witch as an angel to him.
Another angel.
We go through the wedding in the park. There is a word for it, but I genuinely can't think of what it is. If you can think of it, let me know in the comments. I also feel like it's a good time to point out that during gameplay there is not much story, but there is story outside of the gameplay, if that makes sense. We close the door and that is the first safe house of this campaign. We start making our way through a few more streets, a little sewer area, and back to the streets again. I find an M60 in a restaurant, decide to pick it up and use it for a bit. It's powerful, but the thing with LMGs, I've explained this loads, they take ages to reload and it's just pointless in my opinion. So we keep going through and I eventually find an AK. We head back down to the sewers and down a dark tunnel to open a gate which has an alarm. Of course it would, why wouldn't it? Anyway, it alerts a horde as we move forward. Then we make our way to a ladder, up the ladder, and then to another gate. If you haven't guessed already, that one's alarmed too. We go along the catwalk and jump down into the actual sewer part. During this point, I ran out of ammo and have to resort to using a sword, which actually made me feel kind of like a badass at this point. We do eventually make it to the safe room at the end of the tunnel. We get out of the safe house and the original 4 survivors from the first game, Bill, Francis, Louis, and Zoe, are all here. Louis tells us that he can't move because he's busted his leg, but he can still use a gun. They tell us that all we need to do is get the generator running and we have to get fuel for the generator. It's basically the exact same thing as the car, and there are a few things that happened, but for the most part it was just a fetch quest. You have to get 10 cans and bring them back to the generator. With the generator filled and the bridge lowered, we head to the car, leaving the 4 survivors alone as the credits roll for that campaign. I guess at this point it's more of a TV show episode than a movie. Either way, on to the next campaign, which is called Dark Carnival. We start with a bunch of cars on the road that we are unable to pass. So now we are on foot in hopes of getting to New Orleans. We start making our way towards the amusement park when I get absolutely launched. We make our way through a motel and into a swamp area until we finally arrive at Whispering Oaks amusement park and into a safe room. In the safe room there is a poster for a band called the Midnight Riders that was supposed to be performing at the carnival. I'm going to point this out now before someone else does. It really didn't take me long to get distracted on this and I started playing one of the carnival games. Meanwhile, the others are just fighting for their life with, I don't know, Jockey, I think, or something. The most important thing is I beat the carnival game and I win a gnome. This gnome does have a name. It's Gnome Chomsky. For anyone that doesn't know, it was first introduced in the episode 2 of Half-Life 2. So yeah, bit of Valve history for you there as well. An Easter egg that spanned multiple games. I don't think you see that much now. I'm a little annoyed at myself for this one. I paused my recording for some reason and I forgot to press record. So I finished the level and we made it to the safe room with the gnome. I will say though, this is my main goal at the moment. I just want to get that gnome home. I want to survive with the gnome. So we take the gnome into the Tunnel of Love. We start making our way through with many detours, me having to throw the little guy down a few times and ending up going through a maintenance tunnel. Eventually we make it around the thing that was blocking us, through a hole into the ceiling and back into the tunnel of love. We get out of the tunnel and the first thing we see is a helicopter. Our aim now is to make it through the roller coaster and try and find that helicopter. But before we can even get to the roller coaster, there is a witch that is blocking our path. Now, unfortunately, Coach startles it this time and he dies. So we start the ride without him, and of course that sets an alarm off. I get pounced on by a hunter, and when I get the chance, I am unable to find the gnome. I was being 100% serious when I meant this, so we're going again. I will get this gnome through this. We make it back to the roller coaster and I learn from my mistakes. I launch the gnome at the platform where the button is to deactivate the alarm in hopes that he will be there when I get there. Stay strong, little guy, I'll be there soon. It takes some time, you know, with the horde of zombies and the guy that likes tonguing people trying to stop us, but we do eventually make it. And I find the gnome just in time to get pounced by another hunter. Perfect. I then turn the alarm off because apparently I'm the only person that can do that, and I clear the rest of the zombies out before grabbing the little guy. We make our way through the rest of the level and to the safe room. Onto the next part of the carnival, which is the tents and the bumper cars, and we plan to go through the bumper cars, just to find another witch, which I then startled somehow. Now the plan for this one is to get to the stage and set off some pyro in hopes that the helicopter that we saw before will see it and rescue us. The reason being, apparently that band, Midnight Riders, has some of the best pyro in the business, and they didn't get to perform, so the pyro is still there. We set off the pyro, it acts as a flare for the helicopter to come back and get us. That is the plan, until we hear another witch, which is always fun. I keep saying witch. Not intentional, by the way. We managed to make our way past her and through the pens and onto the rooftops. That is where we see the stadium for the first time. We pull a switch to open the gates, which of course attracts a horde of zombies again. Getting through the horde of zombies and towards the end of the level, I run out of ammo and resort to using a mix of the guitar that I picked up and the gnome. We do make it through the rest of the level and to the safe room. Next level starts out making our way through the backstage area of the stadium, and we see a poster of all the band members. We go out to the stage, find the button for the lights and press it to start the show. So this is it. The lights go down, the crowd, or I guess zombies in this case, start to scream. And as the pyro starts, you can almost feel it in the air, that electric energy. This takes a lot longer than I remember, and I cut a lot of it out because I think in total it was almost 10 minutes. But a helicopter does arrive. I make it on with Gnome Chomsky, but I'm the only one to make it on. The others did not survive, but I don't care. I have my gnome friend. That's all I care about. All the others, yeah, whatever. My gnome survived. I'm happy. The next campaign starts and it's called Swamp Fever. Apparently the pilot of the helicopter turned into a zombie and Nick had to shoot him. And now we're here walking through a swamp. I never noticed this before. I played this game a lot when I was younger, but I never noticed that there was a charger strung up near the alligator-infested water. Moving on from that, we make our way across the river in a ferry, and yes, that did attract another horde of zombies. As we move deeper into the swamp, it becomes clear that this is a part of the stocking up process in trying to find out if there's any other survivors. We eventually move into a drainage ditch that has been turned into a safe room, and we make our way further into the swamp where we find a guy that has died in a tree after his parachute got caught. We later find the plane that I'm guessing is what he jumped out of, but he looked very military for someone on a commercial flight. Never mind, it's just clicked in my head as I'm recording this that he would have been on there just in case anyone turned into an infected. He would have been on there for security. I've never put that together before. We blow the doors off the plane to keep going, and of course it makes a loud noise, attracting more zombies. This is, yeah, you're starting to probably realize what causes zombies to come towards you on this game. Loud noises. We keep moving until we come across a village, hoping to find any other survivors, but we find a safe room instead. Now, at the top of this video, I mentioned that this game has something in common with one of the best zombie movies ever made. This may come as a shock to some people, but Left 4 Dead 2 was a sequel to, you guessed it, Left 4 Dead. The difference between the two was the survivors, it was a new set of survivors, and also Left 4 Dead 2 had more specialized infected than the first one. Before either of these games came out, there was a time in the early 2000s where horror, thriller, and more specifically zombie films were pretty dry. Nothing was happening, but then like a light in the dark, or I guess a rescuer in a zombie apocalypse, a movie came along and saved the zombie genre. In November of 2002, a film was released by Danny Boyle, who directed what is considered a masterpiece of zombie cinema. That film was 28 Days Later. The film offered a complete change of pace to the generic zombie genre, in a literal sense as well. Gone were the slow-moving, one-foot-moving and the other dragging behind zombies. The infected in 28 Days Later were fast-moving. But what does this have to do with Left 4 Dead 2? It's just a zombie film. No, it isn't. 28 Days Later was the inspiration behind Left 4 Dead. The film follows 4 survivors: Jim, Selena, Frank, and Hannah. Those 4 were played by Cillian Murphy, Naomi Harris, Brendan Gleeson, and Megan Burns. Both games follows 4 survivors. The first one, Bill, Francis, Louie, and Zoe. I called him Louie, I didn't mean that. Louie. Just to be clear, Bill, Francis, Louie, and Zoe. The second, Coach, Ellis, Nick, and Rochelle. On top of this, the speed of the zombies are a huge focus in both 28 Days Later and both Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, along with the hordes. I will also say, in both 1, 2, and 28 Days Later, they are all trying to escape from the respective place that they're in. 28 Days Later is set in the UK, so their aim is to get to, obviously I'm not going to do anything for spoilers. You know what? The movie came out in 2002. If you haven't watched it by now, you're probably not going to watch it. It's over 20 years old at this point. It's 25 years old almost. Basically, the 4 survivors in 28 Days Later get to a military blockade in Manchester and then use the military help to try and get out of the UK. That was all I was going to say. I don't even know if that's a spoiler, really. Now that we've established that, we can make our way across all of the walkways until we get to the safe room. Out of the next safe room, and it is finally daylight in this place. We make our way through a mansion into the garden area and find a radio by a gate. We speak to a guy on the radio who owns a boat and says that he can get to us as long as we stay there. So this is us now. We gotta hold off the horde until this guy gets to us. When he arrives, we get on the boat and we leave the swamp behind. That is the end of that campaign, and we move on to Hard Rain, which is one of my favourite ones. We need fuel for the boat, and the petrol station is across the road, but there's still some infected around, so we need guns. This is when it becomes clear that someone left guns on the boat. Now, all of the characters kind of blame each other, and it ends up that it was Nick's responsibility. Like I say, station is across the street, but unfortunately that one is empty, so we need to find another place to go to. A couple of streets over, and we find that someone is having a yard sale, or I guess was having a yard sale before the apocalypse hit. Some of the things on sale there include guns. Nice. After the yard sale, we get to a tiny shack, and this is another safe room for the first level. The next level takes us through a sugar mill. Now, all through this campaign so far, the Hard Rain one, on a bunch of walls, there's writing. And all of it warns you and warns other people of witches in the area. Apparently there's a lot of them. If that wasn't stressful enough, there is a storm coming. And southeastern American storms are a different breed of hurricane and storm. Obviously, with this being set in the southeast of America, and apparently it's storm season, yeah. The survivors are hoping that the rain and the storm is going to hold off until they are gone. Something about the name of the level makes me think that that's not going to be the case. But either way, we make our way through the sugar mill, down a elevator that, again, we had to wait for. And yes, there was an alarm again that set off a horde. But here's the thing, it doesn't get boring because it's not that repetitive. Like, it's a horde of zombies. Obviously, that part is the same every time. But these specialized zombies that come with it often change, and you don't know which you're going to get. We eventually make our way through the fields surrounding the mill. There are a lot of witches there. We do make it to the station to get the fuel for the boat. We fuel up the cans that we've got, and while we're waiting, Coach gets close to us. And now we need to make our way back the same way that we came, which is simple, right? You see, it would be simple, but the storm hit. Like I said, Southeast America and storms. That area always, I said it earlier, it's always had bad hurricanes and storms. I really like this level. As I said earlier, it's one of my favourite levels. But the witches on this do kind of annoy me a little bit because there are so many of them. Now, there was a theory that I believe it was Coach says. He thought that maybe rain brings out the witches a bit more. That's why they're outside, because they're attracted to rain, which isn't a bad theory. But the real reason is that witches are drawn to the scent of raw sugar. They just want a sweet treat, something sugary. And raw sugar, believe it or not, is the best way to get sugar. So let me break this down real quick. Witches are females that cry a lot and craves sugar. Is that not every female when they're on their period? Anyway, we make it through the sugar mill and to the safe room. It seems that the safest option is going over the rooftops, and it is discussed and decided that they are going to go on the rooftops just because a lot of the houses are getting flooded. We make it back onto the streets, and I narrowly avoid a charger, and then we make it to the next safe room. A lot of this just getting to the next safe room. If you haven't guessed by now, that's what this game is. You go, you get to a safe room, not much really happens. It's mainly an arcadey, shoot a zombie or two, and try and survive to the safe room. Now we need a way to signal the boat driver so that he can come back and pick us up. It appears the best course of action for this is to use the sign of a burger place that is nearby. He will see that, realise that it's us because we're the only people surviving there, and he will come to the dock and pick us up. So we do just that and then wait for him by the dock. That is until I did something really dumb. I genuinely thought that there'd be a barrier there. I didn't think I'd be able to actually fall off. Just like that, we're back at the safe house. We head back, start the sign, get to the docks as I did before, but this time I don't fall off and I actually wait for the boat to arrive. And then he takes us to New Orleans. Now that's the end of Hard Rain, and we move into the final episode, The Parish. We start on the waterfront of Louisiana after being dropped off by Virgil, the boat driver. It's sunny in New Orleans, and we hear jets overhead. The plan for this one is to get to the bridge. Now, word of warning before we go any further, I get lost quite a few times on this level, as in the whole campaign part. A lot of the buildings look the same, and when you're inside, a lot of the windows and doors look the same on the inside and what's surrounding them. So there was quite a few times where I'd go out thinking I'd gone on to a new area and I just hadn't. With that being said, the first part is relatively short. I think you go through about 2 buildings and then you're in the safe room. We move out of the safe room, make our way up some stairs to a park that has Bienville written on it. I believe that's how you pronounce it. While the park is not a real location in New Orleans, it is a boutique, well-known historic hotel with the same name. That hotel started out as a rice mill in 1825 and is named after Jean-Baptiste Lemoyne. He was a French-Canadian explorer who founded the city of New Orleans in 1718 along with his older brother Pierre. Before he founded the city, the site was an undeveloped and marshy area of the Mississippi River. There were no permanent towns or properties around that area until after 1718. So moving on from that, we make our way to an underpass and into the back of what I think is a decontamination truck, just because you have to wait for one door to close before you open the other one. And obviously, with leaving it, we set off an alarm. The only way to deactivate that alarm is to get to the middle of the fenced area. When we get to the middle, we have to climb up like this scaffolding thing to turn the alarm off. And then we finish up by walking under the bridge that we need to be on into another safe room. I think it's the same bridge anyway. There's many bridges that you see along this and underpasses and everything. It's kind of crazy. We make our way through the streets of New Orleans once more. If you can't tell, I pronounce it in 2 different ways. I sometimes pronounce it New Orleans, sometimes I pronounce it New Orleans. I'm not sure what's happening. Now, this is the main level where I got confused, but I do eventually make it through and we climb a ladder up to a bridge, which gets pretty much instantly destroyed, so we have to jump back down to where we've just been pretty much. Now, I could be wrong, but I think we go through a graveyard here, and I've seen this graveyard, I'm pretty sure I've seen it in quite a few other games that are based in New Orleans. I feel like it's in Mafia 3 as well. I don't know if it's the same location or if it's just a coincidence, but yeah, it seems familiar in some way. We make our way out through a few more buildings where, again, I get confused for a while, and I finish the level with no ammo and a knife. Inside the safe room, and we move up the ladder to make our way onto the bridge. We use the radio on this dead guy to get the information from the pilot, who tells us that we need to get across to the other side of the bridge as the helicopter on the side that we're on has left. So first, we need to make it across. We need to lower the bridge and then get across it. After a lot of fighting, some pipe bombs, running out of ammo, that being the main one, many different variations of infected, and after being knocked down quite a few times, we get a message on our screen telling us that we need a first aid kit, otherwise the next time we get knocked down, we will die. At this point, no one has a medkit on them, so our survival looks pretty slim. And with shotgun in hand, we pop some pills and we start making our way to the end of the bridge, clearing out a few zombies before I move. We do eventually get to the end of the bridge, and I am safe until I use the last shot of the shotgun ammo. My focus now was just to get to the helicopter, so I grabbed my police baton that I picked up from somewhere, I don't actually know where, start swinging, and then I pick up an M16 just in case I need it. Again, I ignored every zombie with this. I didn't want to take any risks. I didn't want there to be any slight chance that I was going to get absolutely destroyed and have to start this level again. I was so close to the end. I was so determined to make it. And what do you know? We make it to the helicopter, it takes off, and we watch as the bridge we were just on explodes. And that is it for the base campaign missions of Left 4 Dead 2. This game was a lot of fun to play. It was a lot of fun to record. I'm going to leave you with me in real time to talk through a couple of things. But before I do, I want to say thank you so much for the love and support on the GTA Vice City video and all the YouTube shorts I've been uploading as well. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed this one as well. So that is it for the Left 4 Dead 2 campaign, at least the base campaign. There's a few other missions on this, but I didn't really want to get into them. I really wanted to do the base. The other ones I'll explain in a minute. It's really fun. It doesn't take that long to play through. I played this on Steam. I think it's one of them games that's normally on a Steam sale for like $5 every so often. It's definitely worth picking up if you and a few friends are looking for a new game or different game to play. I played this a lot when I was younger with a friend. We just used to do split screen, but it's fun either by yourself or with friends. By yourself can be a bit more challenging, I will say that. So if you're looking at playing the first one and then the second one, you can do it all through Left 4 Dead 2. Just remember, if you are wanting to do it kind of canonically, you need to start with The Sacrifice, No Mercy, Crash Course, Death Toll, Dead Air, Blood Harvest. Then once you're done with them and you're ready for the Left 4 Dead 2 one, the Left 4 Dead 2 campaign is just Dead Center, The Passing, Dark Carnival, Swamp Fever, Hard Rain, and The Parish. Coldstream and The Last Stand are 2 add-ons. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for the love and support on the most recent video, the Vice City one. It has been incredible. As always, I hope you have a nice day, night, whatever time it is for you. And I'll see you in the next one. I don't think I've ever played Left 4 Dead 2 solo. Not useless, but also not great.